list continues. Number 4. Oh, thank you. I mean, if you're just joining this, I should probably... So, Doomsgiving, episode number 4. Lord Vicar, the Black Powder. So, this one, before I get into it, kind of has a funny story. I'll have to read it here quick for you. But this was released in... so this would have been 2019, I believe. But it was originally an independent release, and then it was picked up by the Church Within Records for CD. I loved it so much. Originally, I heard it digitally, and then absolutely fell in love with it. We'll kind of get into that here in a second, but needless to say, it was a record that I immediately knew I wanted on vinyl. So I was waiting for someone to actually take it to a vinyl release, and Savart Records picked it up, and I found out they were releasing it, so I jumped on the pre-order and got it sent. This would have been here in 2020, so it was a good amount of time that I had waited for this. So the reason I say all of this is in June, I received an email, and it listed, this is an Edie Powell, and who's writing me from Customs Trade Specialists. It was shipped FedEx from Finland, and it reads, "Good afternoon. I'm reaching out today concerning an international shipment from Savart Records in Finland. We are attempting to initiate clearance with U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Food and Drug Administration, Alcohol, Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. If applicable, for additional information is required, specifically yada yada yada." Basically, I was reached out because it was the album's titled Black Powder. If you look at the list, they had presumed I was ordering the literal Black Powder from Finland and had some questions. But I remember calling the FedEx lady on the phone and being like, "It's literally an album just called Black Powder." She laughed about it, actually, and it was all good. But some year and a half later, I finally get a vinyl release of this record. And out of everything that I'm going to be talking about today, this is the one, if you do not own it, you're fucking up. This is the best traditional doom record, and I don't know when you want to put a time frame on it, but if off the top of my head, I can't remember a record that I feel more passionately about in recent memory. It's that good. The first song alone, Sulfur, Charcoal, and Saltpeter, it's like 17 minutes plus, I think. It's the best, on the best traditional doom album. It is the best traditional song that goes with it. It's the entire side A of this double LP, and it alone, if this was just, I would have paid for it simply as a single. Like, I would have waited for that to make, if it was a single, I would have waited for that to make vinyl, and I would have waited a year and a half plus, however long it took for that song alone. It's interesting in terms of how they block this record and compose it, because it kind of is bookended by these two sort of longer pieces. But that song, I remember hearing it for the first time, and this acoustic guitar comes in, and it just felt like, so for those who don't know, before I get into it, it's the guitarist, I want to get this right here, so Kimi Karki, I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but the Finnish, he's Finnish and part of Reverend Bizarre, and he's sort of like the beating heart of this project, right? So after Reverend Bizarre disbands and splits up, Lord Vicar, Kimi takes up Lord Vicar and is here the key sort of member is also Christian Linderson, who's been in St. Vitus, Gotes, I believe, is another one that is kind of like a stonery psych band out of Sweden, but he joins them for this record, and he's sort of taken over the vocal part of this band, and it sounds to me like, I mean, traditional doom in that like pentagram St. Vitus style, but it's got like it does not suffer with through a modern production vantage point, meaning it's got like a weight to it that when you compare it to something like Born Too Late, for example, you can hear a distinction, but it doesn't suffer as a consequence. So I like that increased amount of size and heft that you hear on Black Powder, but it's the quieter moments on this record, which are really, so the intro and outro to Sulfur, Charcoal, and Saltpeter, and then Nightmare, which is the second to last track on side D, before A Second Chance, which is the closing track. Christian's vocal personality and Kimi's acoustic guitar work is terrifying, and or maybe awesome is a better way to describe it, in the way that you would associate with the word of bearing witness to something beyond comprehension, right? Like, it is that kind of emotional caliber and horror. But it's I mean, these are acoustic sort of empty passages. To me, what is terrifying about it specifically is it's like watching the life fade from someone. You know, like you were helpless in the act of saving them. So just as someone would age, you know, you're watching your parent, for example, or someone suffering from disease, which is a big part of their sound, is this kind of like focused 19th century, 17th century sort of Christian fear of disease and famine, so on and so forth. But it's like watching, you know, the color from their skin fade, or, you know, they are no longer, you don't see them actually looking back at you through their eyes, right? Like there used to be a human being that you were able to connect to when you made eye contact, and as their life fades from them, you lose that sort of thread of connection. It's terrifying and slow and, you know, incredibly personal. And those moments when, you know, this opening track, when the hammer drops and all that weight comes in, you are already resigned, and there's like whatever 13 minutes left to go. It was such a captivating moment, just all encompassing. I was nowhere else in the room, in my head, in my mind, other than like where this song was taking me and the kind of images it was conjuring. That is all you could ever ask for music in general. And it happens when for me, in the first 4 minutes of this song. It's lyrically amazing. The song seems to detail a story about a young child who is brought into the army. So saltpeter is sodium nitrate, I believe, which was they're used to make gunpowder. There's I guess a myth. When I was doing some research as to getting the actual chemical composition, so what they were talking about, there was a myth that it had to do with sexual suppression, like to suppress your libido, which I thought is really fucked up and very Doom, right? To literally destroy your will or ability to procreate in life. But I think that's not what they're going for after reading the entire lyrical, going through the liner notes. Excuse me. There's a lot of pumpkin pie going on today. Anyway, the meat of this album, so side B and C, very much like those songs could find their way onto an SST record in 1984, 5, 6, whatever. Like that they have that sort of like rumble and cruise style of doom metal that can, you know, hang with whatever if you were into like heavier hardcore in the 1980s. But like they get that, but it's the emotional content here. It is that part of doom that is spiritual attrition, right? Where like it's not necessarily about succumbing to your sadness or despair or your loss, as much as it is the fact that you survive it, right? And you have to bear the weight of what that sort of challenge or that whatever that cross you bear as a consequence of enduring. It does that in such little amount of time and space, and then the rest of it is just absolute doom glory. Anyway, this record is, if I have not like exhausted myself talking about this Lord Vicar, I think that this album artwork is like death anoints innocence. I mean, what do you want to? It totally matches like the emotional, you know, register of this record, and I got it. It's here. I should probably show this up. I've been trying to do a better job of showing all this stuff. I got it on like a clear sort of vinyl, which is great, whatever. But I am telling you, it is that good. Just side A on this record. Fine, get it on CD. Stream it. I don't care. You are messing up. You are missing out on one of the best doom records in not just recent years. Like, if this is 2019, I throw it up there with any doom record from the 2010 of the decade, of the 21st century. I think if you go back in the catalog of all those great doom releases, it belongs in that kind of pantheon. It is that good. I cannot oversell this anymore. It is. Anyway, I'm done. I need to eat my pumpkin pie. I need to move on to the next record. I spent so much time just talking about the first track here. But, yeah, Lord Vicar 2019 is the original release, independent, 2021 on Spart Records. For the for the vinyl release of The Church Within, if you want the CD. Unbelievable doom.